Good day and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the voice of reason. So, in today's report, covering the ongoing situation inside of the former state of Ethiopia, the fighting continues. We are getting reports of very significant and very heavy fighting taking place along the southern front. The heaviest fighting is occurring in between Weldia and Dese, and then along the number 2 highway. And then we're also seeing significant engagements taking place along the number 22 highway in the vicinity of Gashina down to Debre Zabet. But first, we'll start on the reported engagements that are taking place south of Weldia. Apparently, a Tigrayan Defense Force unit has engaged forces of the Ethiopian Republican Guard and elements of a Special Forces Commando Brigade of the regular Ethiopian National Army that was also operating with Republican Guard units in the vicinity north of Dese. Now, initial reports are coming in that the Ethiopian units that were engaged with the Tigrayan Defense Forces units south of Wachale have suffered fairly significant losses, and quite possibly we're seeing the makings of a battlefield defeat in the making. We're also hearing reports, again, these are unconfirmed, but it would appear from these reports that elements of the Tigrayan Defense Forces are now very close to Dese. Now, is this some sort of forward reconnaissance unit that migrated its way down after engaging the forces of the Republican Guard and other units of the ENDF and the Amhara militia units that were also assisting? We don't know at this point, but we do know the fighting was very significant, and there is information coming in that would suggest the TDF has made its way very close to Dese. Have they entered Dese? We're still unsure of that, but it would appear that an operation did take place in which those units of the TDF that were operating in the vicinity of the area of operations south of Wachale may have proceeded a fairly significant way south. In the operations that are taking place along the 22 highway in the vicinity of Gashina and then other areas, fighting is reported as very heavy, and both sides have taken fairly substantial losses in this fighting. We're hearing really the fighting on the southern front as defined by an area ranging from Debre Tabor down to basically Dese and Weldia, kind of this triangle that runs from Weldia down to Dese and then up all the way towards Debre Tabor. Again, the front lines are not fully stabilized, so we are seeing units that have the capacity of proceeding with different avenues of advance outside of the normal operations of what you would define as a true front line. So again, because the front lines are not very well defined, we are seeing units appear in areas where, generally speaking, you may not see some of those units appear. And I think the classic example of what occurred near Gashina. At the same time, we continue to see the Ethiopian army and the Amhara militias. They seem to have not yet adapted to a certain tactic that is being used by the Tigrayan Defense Forces. And that tactic is more or less what I would define as a entice and envelop. And what we're seeing is, let's say, for instance, the Ethiopian army believed that, say, the town of Mursa was weakly defended. And that is the perception, that is the intended perception that the Tigrayan Defense Forces create. And it's designed to make the Ethiopian army proceed, attack, attempt to seize control of a town such as, say, Mersa, and at the same time, more powerful units, say to the west and east, then envelop that attacking unit that was enticed to attack a target such as Mersa. And then that unit then quickly becomes enveloped from the east and west, or a flanking maneuver, and is then destroyed in zone. And we've seen that used quite a bit in central Tigray. We've seen it in southern Tigray near Korum and Alamata, and we've seen it now in other places as well in the Amhara region. Again, it is the entice and envelop tactic that is being utilized by the Tigrayan Defense Forces that seems to be a challenge for the Ethiopian army and the Amhara militias to adapt to. They seem to at times identify a target that they believe they have the capability of taking, and in reality, it is basically a strategic ambush, and on a battalion and a brigade size level at times. And again, we saw that significantly in central Tigray, and it was one of the reasons the Ethiopian military was in fact defeated in central Tigray was for that reason, and that tactic and strategy of entice and envelop. And we will probably continue to see that occur as long as it works for the Tigrayan Defense Forces. We continue to hear that the Tigrayan Defense Forces are still just outside of Debark and looking to pressure that city and possibly at some time seize control of it. And obviously the most heaviest fighting is occurring in the northern part of the Amhara region along that southern front. We're hearing reports and actually seeing documented reports of military equipment coming in from Djibouti. The equipment is painted white. We see trucks and we see BTR 70s and 80s, Russian-made armored vehicles that are painted white with UN identifiers on them. We assume these are vehicles that were utilized possibly in Somalia or other areas where the Ethiopian army was conducting peacekeeping operations, and the situation really is so dire right now. The Ethiopian army is required to pull these vehicles from those areas of operation. And you have to understand, a lot of these vehicles were in fact donated and given to the Ethiopian state and the Ethiopian military in support of some of these peacekeeping operations. So it's unclear if this equipment was in fact even purchased by the Ethiopian military, and more likely it was commandeered out of necessity, and it would appear that this equipment has been transferred to serve in operations inside of Ethiopia against the Tigrayan Defense Forces and the allies of the Tigrayan Defense Forces, such as the Oromo Liberation Front. And the fighting also continues with the Oromo Liberation Army continuing its activity in the western Oromo region and the southern Oromo region. And those operations continue, and it's really playing havoc on the Ethiopian military's ability to focus its operations against the Tigrayan Defense Force and maintain its anaconda strategy of attempting to choke off the Tigray region from the outside world. We are also continuing to receive reports that Amhara regional forces are also, in fact, operating now in the Oromo region and directly supporting the Ethiopians' federal government operations against the Oromo Liberation Army. So we're really starting to see Amhara regional forces enter the Oromo region, and that is going to continue to exacerbate civil strife between the two ethnic groups. More to come in the coming hours and days. Have a great day, everybody.